In a world inundated with dietary advice, conflicting health trends, and a seemingly endless array of must-have superfoods, the concept of minimalist nutrition offers a refreshing, grounded approach. At its core, minimalist nutrition is about stripping back the noise, focusing on what truly matters for health, well-being, and sustainability. It invites us to question the necessity of complexity in our diets, advocating instead for simplicity, intentionality, and clarity. Imagine opening your pantry or refrigerator and seeing only a few staple ingredients. Rather than feeling limited, you feel liberated. The options are straightforward, the choices clear. This is the essence of minimalist nutrition: embracing the basics, making deliberate choices, and nurturing a harmonious relationship with food. Minimalist nutrition doesn't mean deprivation or asceticism. Rather, it is about prioritizing quality over quantity, focusing on whole foods, and understanding the value of moderation. It asks us to consider not just what we eat, but why and how we eat. To begin with, let's consider the foundations. Minimalist nutrition is grounded in whole, unprocessed foods. These are the foods nature provides with minimal human alteration: fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, and lean proteins. By centering our diets on these staples, we eliminate the clutter of processed options laden with additives, preservatives, and artificial flavors. A minimalist approach to nutrition encourages us to question the necessity of elaborate recipes, long ingredient lists, and complex meal plans. Instead, it promotes meals that are simple to prepare, yet nourishing and satisfying. Think of a bowl of oatmeal topped with fresh fruit and nuts for breakfast, a salad of leafy greens, chickpeas, and olive oil for lunch, roasted vegetables with grilled chicken or tofu for dinner. These meals are not only straightforward, but also rich in nutrients and flavor. At the heart of minimalist nutrition is the concept of mindful eating. By simplifying our meals, we create space to savor each bite, to appreciate the natural tastes and textures of whole foods. Eating becomes a more intentional act, less about distraction and more about presence. Minimalist nutrition invites us to slow down, to listen to our bodies, and to eat in response to genuine hunger rather than habit or impulse. Another key aspect is portion awareness. In a society where supersized servings are the norm, minimalist nutrition reminds us that more is not always better. It encourages us to serve ourselves modest portions, respecting our body's cues for satiety. This not only fosters a healthier relationship with food, but also reduces food waste and supports environmental sustainability. Simplicity in nutrition also means reducing decision fatigue. The modern food environment overwhelms us with choices at every turn. By narrowing our focus to a select group of wholesome foods, we remove the burden of constant decision-making. Grocery shopping becomes more efficient, meal preparation less stressful, and eating more enjoyable. Minimalist nutrition is flexible and adaptable. It's not about rigid rules or strict limitations, but about finding a balance that works for your unique needs and lifestyle. For some, it might mean adopting a plant-based diet centered on beans, grains, and vegetables. For others, it might include lean meats, dairy, or eggs. The key is to prioritize minimally processed options, to eat a variety of foods for nutritional completeness, and to avoid excess. Let's talk about the benefits of this approach. First, there's the advantage of improved health outcomes. Numerous studies have shown that diets rich in whole, unprocessed foods are linked to lower risks of chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. By focusing on nutrient-dense staples, minimalist nutrition naturally steers us away from the sugars, unhealthy fats, and sodium that are prevalent in processed foods. Second, minimalist nutrition can simplify weight management. When meals are built around whole foods and portion sizes are kept reasonable, calorie intake tends to regulate itself. Whole foods are generally more filling and less calorically dense than their processed counterparts, helping us feel satisfied with less. Third, a minimalist approach can have significant environmental benefits. The production and transport of highly processed foods often require more energy, water, and packaging. By choosing local, seasonal, and minimally packaged foods, we reduce our ecological footprint, supporting both our health and the health of the planet. Economically, minimalist nutrition can be budget-friendly. Staple foods like beans, lentils, rice, oats, and seasonal produce are often less expensive than processed or specialty items. By focusing on these basics, we can eat nutritiously without breaking the bank. Let's explore some practical steps to embrace minimalist nutrition in daily life. Start by assessing your current eating habits. Take note of the foods you eat most often, the ingredients in your pantry, and the types of meals you prepare. Identify which items are truly essential and which are products of habit or impulse. Next, declutter your pantry and refrigerator. Remove heavily processed foods, snacks high in sugar or refined grains, and items with long ingredient lists. Replace them with whole food staples, fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains like brown rice or quinoa, beans and lentils, nuts and seeds, eggs, and lean meats or plant-based proteins. When shopping for groceries, focus on the perimeter of the store, where fresh produce, meats, and dairy are typically found. Limit your time in the aisles filled with processed and packaged goods. Choose foods with minimal packaging and ingredients you can recognize. Experiment with simple recipes that highlight the natural flavors of whole foods. A roasted sweet potato, seasoned with olive oil and herbs, can be as satisfying as any elaborate dish. A bowl of brown rice, topped with sautéed greens and a handful of nuts, provides a balanced meal with minimal fuss. Plan your meals around a few core ingredients each week. For example, you might prepare a batch of quinoa, roast a tray of mixed vegetables, and cook a pot of beans. These staples can be combined in various ways: bowls, salads, soups, to create different meals with little effort. Minimalist nutrition also values routine and consistency. Rather than constantly seeking novelty, it embraces the comfort of familiar meals. This doesn't mean eating the same thing every day, but rather rotating through a repertoire of simple, nutritious dishes that you enjoy and that nourish you. Snacking, too, can be simplified. Instead of processed bars or chips, reach for a piece of fruit, a handful of nuts, or some sliced vegetables. These options are not only healthier, but also more satisfying and aligned with minimalist principles. Hydration is another important aspect. Minimalist nutrition encourages us to prioritize water as our main beverage. Sugary drinks, sodas, and even excessive consumption of juice add unnecessary calories and complexity to our diets. Keeping hydration simple supports overall well-being. Supplements and specialty products often promise health benefits, but in the context of minimalist nutrition, they are rarely necessary if your diet is varied and balanced. Whole foods provide a spectrum of nutrients that work synergistically in the body. If you have specific dietary restrictions or health conditions, certain supplements may be advised by a healthcare provider. But for most people, the focus should remain on food first. Minimalist nutrition is not just about what we eat, but also about how we relate to food. It encourages gratitude for the nourishment we receive, mindfulness in preparation and consumption, and an appreciation for the simplicity that sustains us. It's important to recognize that minimalist nutrition does not look the same for everyone. Cultural traditions, personal preferences, and health needs all influence our choices. The minimalist approach is not prescriptive, but rather a framework for making thoughtful, intentional decisions about food. For families, minimalist nutrition can provide a foundation for teaching children healthy habits. Simple meals with recognizable ingredients help kids learn about food origins, flavors, and textures. Family meals become opportunities for connection, conversation, and shared enjoyment. For individuals with busy schedules, minimalism in the kitchen saves time and reduces stress. Batch cooking, meal prepping, and relying on a few core recipes streamline the process, making healthy eating achievable even on the busiest days. For those concerned about the environment, minimalist nutrition aligns with principles of sustainability. By choosing local, seasonal produce and reducing food waste, we contribute to a more resilient food system. For anyone overwhelmed by dietary advice and conflicting information, minimalist nutrition offers clarity. It reminds us that eating well does not require complexity, expensive products, or constant change. The basics, whole foods, balanced meals, moderation, and mindfulness, are timeless principles that support health. Of course, there are challenges. Social occasions, holidays, and dining out can present temptations and pressures that test our resolve. Food marketing is relentless, and the allure of novelty is strong. But minimalist nutrition is not about perfection. It's about making the best choices most of the time and being kind to ourselves when we stray. One way to stay grounded in minimalist nutrition is to reflect regularly on your motivations. Are you eating to fuel your body and support your well-being? Or are you succumbing to external pressures and fleeting cravings? By anchoring your choices in your values and goals, you can navigate the food environment with confidence. Minimalist nutrition also encourages us to cultivate a sense of abundance rather than scarcity. When we focus on the quality of our food and the pleasure of eating, we discover that less truly can be more. A ripe tomato, a perfectly cooked grain, a handful of just roasted nuts, these simple pleasures nourish both body and soul. The minimalist approach extends beyond the plate, influencing how we think about food in our lives. It encourages us to find satisfaction in simplicity, to embrace routines that support our health, and to let go of the pursuit of perfection. Minimalist nutrition is a lifelong journey, not a quick fix. It requires patience, self-awareness, and a willingness to experiment. But the rewards, improved health, greater peace of mind, and a deeper connection to food, are well worth the effort. In summary, minimalist nutrition is about returning to basics. It's about choosing simple, whole foods, preparing meals with intention, and eating with awareness. It's about making food choices that are aligned with our health, our values, and our environment. By embracing minimalist nutrition, we create space for what truly matters: nourishment, satisfaction, and well-being. We learn to trust our bodies, to savor our meals, and to find contentment in simplicity. As you move forward, consider how you can bring minimalist principles into your own eating habits. What foods truly nourish you? How can you simplify your meals? What routines and rituals support your health and happiness? Remember, minimalist nutrition is not about restriction, but about liberation. It's about making food a source of strength, joy, and simplicity in your life. By focusing on what matters most, you can create a foundation for lasting health and well-being, one simple meal at a time.